I never thought a single decision could change my life so completely. It started as a small, impulsive act, curiosity mixed with a hint of rebellion, but it quickly spiraled into something I never imagined. My name is Alex, and until recently my life was fairly ordinary. I had a stable job at a local marketing agency, a modest apartment, and a routine that rarely deviated. But beneath that normalcy, there was a secret, a part of me that craved something different, something thrilling, something that blurred the line between who I appeared to be and who I secretly wanted to be. For as long as I could remember, I had been fascinated by the idea of transformation. Not just in the theatrical sense, but personally. I loved the subtle power of clothes, makeup, and style, the way they could shape perception and alter not only how others saw me, but how I felt about myself. It wasn't something I shared with anyone. To my friends, I was Alex, the quiet, reliable guy. But behind closed doors, I experimented, slipping into different looks, trying to discover which versions of myself felt right. Sometimes it was a fleeting curiosity, other times a deep, undeniable craving to explore another side of myself. The catalyst for everything, however, was my friend and, secretly, my crush, Samantha. She was vivacious, daring, and fearless in ways I could never be. I had known her for years through my sister, who often invited me over to hang out with her circle of friends. Samantha had a playful, teasing energy, the kind that made me simultaneously nervous and thrilled. She noticed details others overlooked, the way I lingered near her when my sister wasn't around, the subtle glances, the almost imperceptible tension in my voice when she joked with me. And then came the dare. It started innocently enough. My sister had left her room open one evening while I was helping organize some old clothes. Samantha noticed me lingering near the closet, staring at the bright dresses, the soft fabrics, the sparkling shoes. "You should try one," she joked, tossing me a vibrant skirt with a mischievous grin. My heart raced. I laughed it off, pretending it was a joke, but a part of me, a daring, restless part, wanted to reach out, to feel the fabric against my skin. Curiosity got the better of me. I slipped inside the closet when no one was looking, hiding behind the hanging clothes as if my very life depended on remaining unseen. I changed quickly, the soft material brushing against my skin, unfamiliar yet intoxicating. When I finally looked into the small mirror tucked behind a stack of boxes, I hardly recognized myself. The reflection staring back wasn't just Alex. It was someone bolder, someone playful, someone utterly captivating. My cheeks flushed, and a thrill surged through me as I adjusted a strand of hair and turned slightly, admiring how the outfit transformed me. That was the moment everything changed. Samantha had not planned on catching me. No one had, but when she leaned against the doorway, her eyes wide with surprise and delight, I froze. "Wow," she whispered, almost reverently. "You look amazing." My stomach twisted with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. I expected teasing, mockery, maybe embarrassment. Instead, there was fascination in her gaze, an appreciation that both scared me and drew me in. From that day, nothing would be the same. Samantha's playful teasing evolved into something more deliberate. She encouraged me to explore further, to embrace the persona I had glimpsed in the mirror. She brought me makeup tips, helped me pick out outfits, and pushed me to discover the thrill of transformation without judgment. Each session left me both vulnerable and exhilarated, each glance from her charged with unspoken tension. I felt seen in ways I had never experienced, and I wanted more. But along with excitement came fear. I worried about being discovered, about the social consequences, about how my sister would react if she ever knew. Hiding in her closet had been a literal concealment, but the secret it represented was growing, expanding into spaces I could not control. And Samantha, with her bright, fearless eyes, seemed to notice every flicker of hesitation. That night, as I sat alone in my room, the closet door shut tight behind me, I reflected on how quickly my life had shifted. The ordinary world of deadlines, spreadsheets, and routine had been replaced by a thrilling, precarious adventure of hidden identities and daring exploration. I could no longer ignore the part of me that wanted to fully embrace this new persona, the part that thrilled at the idea of being seen, of being admired, of being noticed. Little did I know, the dare to hide in a closet would become so much more than a game. It would lead me into a situation I could never have predicted, where boundaries blurred, desires collided, and control slipped further from my grasp. And Samantha, with her mischievous smile and unwavering curiosity, would become the axis around which my world now spun. By the time I drifted off to sleep that night, the reflection of Alex hiding in Samantha's closet lingered in my mind. The thrill, the fear, the intoxicating freedom, it was all a promise of the adventures to come, a whisper of a life I could not resist exploring. I had crossed a line, and there was no turning back. The next few days were a haze of excitement and fear. Every time I saw Samantha, my heart raced. There was an unspoken understanding between us now, a secret that bonded us in a strange, thrilling way. She never pressured me, but her teasing eyes and subtle encouragement made it impossible to resist exploring further. I started to spend more time at her place under the guise of helping my sister with errands or organizing things, but my true purpose was far more exhilarating. One afternoon, when my sister had gone out for a last-minute shopping trip, Samantha invited me to her room. "Want to try something new?" she asked, holding up a sleek wig I had never seen before. It was fiery red, cascading in soft waves that caught the sunlight streaming through her window. My pulse quickened. I hesitated for a moment, fear tugging at my chest, but curiosity overpowered it. As I sat before the mirror, Samantha's hands moved skillfully, adjusting the wig and brushing it until it fell perfectly over my shoulders. She applied makeup gently, her fingers surprisingly confident and precise. Blush on my cheeks, eyeliner that made my eyes look wider, and a subtle gloss that made my lips glisten. With each brushstroke, I felt like I was slipping further away from Alex, transforming into someone else entirely. The reflection staring back was unrecognizable, yet strangely familiar. "You're beautiful," Samantha said softly, almost like a spell. Her voice sent shivers down my spine. I felt a flush of warmth, both from the compliment and the intimate closeness of our positions. My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted the hem of the skirt she had picked out, the silky fabric sliding against my thighs. There was exhilaration in the vulnerability, a thrill in the way my body moved differently, balanced differently, inhabiting a form that felt foreign yet electric. But alongside the excitement was anxiety. What if someone saw me like this? What if my sister came back early? What if I lost control and revealed myself completely? These thoughts pressed against the edge of my mind, sharpening the tension, making every sound outside the door seem amplified. I could hear Samantha humming softly as she adjusted a strand of hair, and it felt like we were in a world separate from reality, one where rules didn't exist, but consequences still lurked. The hours passed in a blur. We experimented with different styles, different wigs, and accessories. Each transformation revealed a new facet of myself, a persona I had only dared imagine. I started to notice how I carried myself differently, the sway of my hips, the way my shoulders relaxed, the subtle confidence in my stance. Samantha noticed it too, her eyes lighting up with approval and delight. "See? You're completely natural at this," she said, her grin mischievous. But tension always returned. Every knock at the door, every distant sound in the hallway made me freeze, my heart pounding. The thrill of being caught, part fear, part excitement, was intoxicating. I found myself craving it, the edge between exposure and secrecy. Samantha seemed to sense it, teasing me mercilessly, yet gently. "You're blushing again," she laughed one afternoon. "I think you like this more than you're willing to admit." Our interactions became more daring. She challenged me with little dares: adjust this dress, try that lipstick, walk across the room in heels. Each challenge pushed me further, testing both my comfort zone and my resolve. I laughed nervously, stumbling in the shoes, feeling both ridiculous and exhilarated. My reflection in the mirror became a constant source of fascination. I was Alex, yes, but also someone entirely new, a combination of fear, curiosity, and desire that I couldn't resist exploring. The suspense intensified one evening when my sister mentioned she would be home earlier than expected. Samantha's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Think you can handle it?" she whispered. I nodded, my stomach twisting. We quickly improvised a hiding spot behind a curtain in her closet, the very place where it had all begun. I pressed myself against the wall, trying to steady my breathing as the sounds of footsteps approached. Every creak of the floorboards, every muffled voice outside the door, sent jolts of adrenaline through me. And then, unexpectedly, Samantha pressed her hand over mine. "Relax," she murmured. Her fingers intertwined with mine, grounding me. The intimacy of the gesture sent a wave of warmth through me, and for a moment, fear and thrill merged into something intoxicating. I realized how dependent I had become on these moments, on the thrill of hiding, on the exhilaration of transformation, on Samantha's attention. The night ended with both of us collapsed in laughter and exhaustion. I removed the wig and clothes, returning to Alex, but the feeling lingered, the sense that I had glimpsed a version of myself that was both thrilling and irresistible. I knew, even then, that it was no longer just about curiosity. It was about exploring, about embracing a side of myself that demanded recognition. And Samantha, her presence, her encouragement, her daring spirit, had become inseparable from that journey. The next days blurred into a pattern of secret transformations, whispered encouragements, and escalating dares. I found myself planning my visits, timing them with precision, always balancing the thrill with the fear of being discovered. The closet, once a simple hiding place, became a sanctuary, a laboratory for self-exploration. Every outfit, every wig, every brushstroke was an experiment, a step deeper into a persona that both frightened and exhilarated me. But the tension was never far behind. Each time I walked across the room in heels, each time I adjusted my wig nervously, I was acutely aware of how precarious it all was. The thrill of being seen, the danger of exposure, the intimate guidance from Samantha, it all created a pressure cooker of emotions that left me both elated and anxious. I was falling deeper into this hidden life, caught between desire and dread, exhilaration and vulnerability. One evening, Samantha introduced the ultimate test, a full makeover, complete with a new outfit, wig, makeup, and shoes. "I want to see the real you," she said, her voice soft but insistent. I felt my heart pound, the mixture of fear and excitement nearly overwhelming. As she guided me through each step, I realized how much I craved her approval, how much I wanted to embrace this new self fully. The mirror reflected not just my transformation, but the emotional journey I had undertaken: shame, curiosity, thrill, vulnerability, and desire all rolled into one. By the time we finished, I stood before the mirror, unrecognizable yet profoundly myself. Samantha's eyes sparkled with approval and something else, a possessiveness, a fascination, a desire to keep me in this new form. And I, caught in the swirl of emotions, realized I didn't want to go back. The thrill, the transformation, the secret world we had created. It was intoxicating, irresistible. The tension had been building for days, each encounter with Samantha escalating in thrill and risk. By now, the hiding in the closet routine had become almost a game, but deep down, I knew the stakes were higher than ever. Every sound from the hallway, every accidental knock, sent shivers down my spine. My heart thumped in a rhythm that matched the anxiety coiling inside me. I had crossed a threshold. I wasn't just experimenting anymore. I was living in the shadow of a secret that could unravel everything at any moment. It started innocently enough. Samantha had dared me to dress up in a completely new outfit she had chosen, a pastel pink dress with delicate lace details, paired with white heels that made my calves ache but also gave me an exhilarating sense of grace. She guided me through the wig and makeup once again, her fingers lingering slightly longer than necessary as she adjusted my hair. There was a possessive gleam in her eyes that thrilled and terrified me at the same time. "You're perfect like this," she whispered, tracing a line down my cheek with her fingertip. The contact made me shiver. I wanted to pull away, yet I couldn't. Every fiber of my being craved her approval, her closeness, the feeling of inhabiting this new persona under her guidance. We were laughing, teasing each other, experimenting with small poses in front of the mirror, when the first real obstacle appeared. A sudden knock at the door froze us both mid-laugh. Samantha's eyes widened. "That must be your sister," she whispered urgently. My stomach sank as adrenaline surged. "Stay calm," she murmured, pulling me behind the curtain in the closet. The heart-stopping seconds dragged on. The doorknob rattled, footsteps approached, and I held my breath so hard it felt like I couldn't breathe. The door opened, and a shadow fell across the room. My sister's voice echoed faintly, calling out for Samantha. We pressed ourselves closer together, the intimate proximity making my pulse race for a reason beyond fear. My high heels clicked softly against the floor as I shifted, and Samantha hissed for me to stay still. The minutes stretched endlessly, every small sound amplified in my ears. Finally, my sister's footsteps retreated, leaving a silence that was both a relief and a fresh surge of tension. I exhaled shakily, feeling the heat of embarrassment and exhilaration flooding my body. "Too close," Samantha murmured, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "But you handled it beautifully." Her praise sent a shiver of warmth through me, a dangerous mix of pride and vulnerability. The next few days became a roller coaster of daring experiments and suspense. Samantha introduced challenges that pushed my confidence and fear to new extremes, walking through the house in full makeup and dresses while we pretended no one else was home, trying out complex hairstyles that required balance and poise, and practicing subtle gestures that made me feel entirely different from Alex, yet unmistakably me. Then came the day of the ultimate test, a surprise visit from a mutual friend who I had never imagined would see me like this. Samantha grinned mischievously. "Think you can handle this?" she asked. My heart pounded at the thought. I wanted to refuse, to revert to my usual self, but I couldn't resist the thrill. I nodded. The friend arrived, and Samantha led me into the living room, insisting I stay poised and natural. Every step, every movement, was a tightrope walk of anxiety. My reflection in the nearby mirror showed a girl who was confident, poised, beautiful, but my mind raced with fear of discovery. The friend approached, chatting casually, completely oblivious to the secret tension that electrified the room. I laughed nervously at a joke, feeling the unfamiliar sway of my hips and the delicate balance of the heels. Samantha's eyes never left me, offering silent encouragement. Then, disaster struck. A sudden shout from outside startled me, causing my heel to slip against the polished floor. I stumbled, barely catching myself, and Samantha lunged to steady me. Our hands brushed, fingers intertwined in a charged moment that made my cheeks burn. The friend glanced toward us, eyebrows raised. My heart stopped. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice curious but not accusatory. I nodded, cheeks flushed, and the moment passed, but the fear lingered. As the evening progressed, the stakes escalated. Samantha dared me to try walking up and down the stairs in heels, alone, while she watched from the doorway. My legs trembled with a mix of adrenaline and fear. Every step was measured, calculated, as I felt my body adapting to this new form, this new identity. I was exhilarated, terrified, and inexplicably aroused by the sensation of inhabiting this persona so fully. Then, the final obstacle appeared, a call from my sister saying she was on her way home early. Samantha's eyes sparkled with a dangerous mix of mischief and challenge. "Let's see how far you can go," she said. I had no choice. I dashed to the closet, slipping behind the curtains, my heart hammering in my chest. The sound of the key turning in the door was deafening. Time seemed to stretch infinitely as we crouched in the cramped space, breathless and tense. The closet felt like a cocoon, shielding us yet amplifying every emotion: fear, excitement, desire, and exhilaration. Samantha pressed herself against me, her warmth a mix of comfort and temptation. "You're doing so well," she whispered. I don't think you realize how amazing you are like this. Then, as if the universe wanted to test us further, the door creaked open slightly. My sister's shadow appeared, scanning the room. I froze, feeling a wave of panic and thrill surge through me. Samantha's hand found mine, squeezing gently, grounding me. The moment was unbearable, electric, and suspended in time. I realized then that I couldn't deny this part of myself any longer. The thrill, the transformation, the intimacy, and the danger had become an addiction. Finally, my sister left the room, oblivious. Samantha and I emerged from the closet, laughing shakily, adrenaline still coursing through our veins. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Alex had disappeared, replaced by someone new, someone daring, confident, and undeniably alive. The realization hit me like a jolt. I wasn't going back.
Not now.
Not ever. The thrill of the transformation, the intimacy with Samantha, the secret world we had created, it had claimed me entirely. That night, as I lay in bed, still in the afterglow of fear and excitement, I knew the climax of our secret had passed, but the consequences were just beginning. The danger of exposure, the intensity of desire, and the emotional entanglement with Samantha would only escalate. I was trapped in a thrilling, perilous world of my own making, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The house was quiet now, but the silence was electric, loaded with the weight of what had just happened. Samantha and I sat in the living room, the dim light casting long shadows on the walls. My legs were still trembling from the adrenaline, my heart pounding in a rhythm that felt almost too loud. I couldn't stop staring at my reflection in the nearby mirror. The girl staring back at me wasn't Alex. She was confident, daring, and utterly unrecognizable. Samantha leaned closer, her breath warm against my ear. "You handled everything so perfectly tonight," she whispered, her voice teasing but serious. "I think you're ready for the next step." My stomach twisted. My mind raced. Next step? What could be more daring than tonight? The memory of nearly being caught, of hiding in the closet with her pressed against me, still sent shivers down my spine. Yet a strange thrill surged through me, a mixture of fear, excitement, and something deeper I couldn't name. I don't know if I can," I admitted, my voice trembling. Part of me wanted to cling to the safety of normalcy, to slip back into Alex's world and pretend none of this had happened. But another part, an insistent, daring part, longed to stay here, in this new skin, under Samantha's guidance. Samantha smiled knowingly, her eyes glinting with mischief. "That's the point," she said softly. "You can't go back. Not after this. You're mine now. Alex is gone. This is who you're meant to be." Her words were intoxicating, dangerous. I felt both thrilled and terrified, knowing that she wasn't exaggerating. My secret life, the part of me I had hidden for so long, was now fully exposed to someone else, and she had claimed it. There was no turning back. Suddenly, the sound of a key turning in the front door made both of us freeze. My pulse skyrocketed, and my stomach plummeted. Samantha's hand tightened around mine, grounding me. "Go hide," she whispered urgently, her eyes wide with alarm. I scrambled toward the closet, my heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. Samantha followed behind, her own movements tense and careful. We barely fit in the cramped space, pressed together, hearts hammering in unison. The doorknob rattled, and I could hear the familiar voice calling out. Someone was home early. My mind screamed at me to stay calm, but panic surged, making it hard to breathe. Through the narrow gap of the closet door, I caught a glimpse of the shadow in the hallway. My stomach dropped as realization hit. It wasn't my sister. The figure was taller, broader, someone I didn't recognize, moving slowly toward the living room. I tried to shrink into the corner, wishing the floor would swallow me whole. Samantha's whispered words barely reached me. "If they find you, it's over. Just stay still." Time seemed to stretch endlessly. The shadow paused, then took another step, the floor creaking ominously beneath them. My mind raced with possibilities. Who is this? How did they get in? Will they see me like this? Will they tell someone? Then, a sudden gasp echoed from the living room. My heart lurched. The person had seen something. I barely dared to breathe, my body frozen, every nerve on fire. Samantha's fingers found mine, gripping tightly, almost painfully, as if her touch could anchor me in this moment of terror. The figure in the hallway moved closer, and I caught a fleeting glimpse of their face. It was a stranger, but one whose expression was a mix of shock and curiosity. My mind spun. What do they know? What do they see? Samantha's voice was a whisper, almost a prayer. Stay quiet just a little longer. And then, just as suddenly, the stranger turned and spoke in a calm, almost chilling tone. I didn't expect to find this. The words hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty, leaving the room charged with suspense. My heart raced, and I felt the weight of all my secrets pressing down on me. Samantha and I exchanged a panicked glance. Every plan, every careful step we had taken, now teetered on the edge of disaster. I wanted to run, to change back, to hide forever, but the thrill, the danger, the undeniable rush of this new life kept me rooted in place. My reflection in the mirror, just a few feet away, stared back at me, mocking and alluring all at once. I realized, in that terrifying instant, that nothing would ever be the same. The door creaked open wider. Footsteps approached. And then, silence. The screen of possibility had frozen, leaving me, Samantha, and the stranger in a moment suspended between fear and exhilaration, desire and danger. What will happen next? Will our secret be exposed? Or will we survive this night unscathed? Our bond even stronger than before? The story ends here for now.